The mid-afternoon sun baked the sweeping plains of the African savanna, casting a shimmering haze over the endless sea of dry golden grass. The air was thick and still, carrying only the faint scent of parched earth and distant rains. Moving gracefully through this sun-drenched landscape was Kip, a young Thompson's gazelle, with his slender frame, the striking black racing stripe along his flanks, and small ribbed horns that curled just slightly backward. Kip was built for incredible agility and speed. But like many young animals in the wild, his speed was often outmatched by his boundless curiosity. Normally, Kip stayed close to the protective center of his herd, keeping his head down and grazing on the sparse grass. Today, however, a strange, incredibly sweet aroma drifted across the plains, pulling his attention away from the safety of the group. It was a rich, intoxicating scent, entirely unlike the dusty brush he was accustomed to. Driven by an innocent desire to investigate, Kip wandered away from the herd. His delicate hooves tapped softly against the cracked dirt as he approached a solitary, ancient, flat-top acacia tree that stood like a silent guardian in the middle of the savanna, its wide canopy offering a tempting patch of deep shade. Hidden high within the thick, gnarled branches of the old acacia tree rested a massive wild beehive, built painstakingly over several seasons by a massive colony of African honeybees. The hive was a masterpiece of natural engineering. Deep layers of golden wax honeycomb hung suspended in the shadows beneath a sturdy fork in the branches. Dripping from these hexagonal cells was raw, concentrated nectar, glistening like liquid gold, and radiating the sweet scent that had drifted so far across the plains. This colony was not a peaceful one. African honeybees are legendary across the continent for their fierce, unyielding defensive behavior. The hive hummed with the coordinated energy of tens of thousands of insects, each playing a vital role. While thousands foraged, a dedicated army of guard bees patrolled the outer perimeter of the comb. To the bees, this hive was their treasury, containing their queen, their young, and their winter survival food. They communicated through intricate chemical signals, and were hypersensitive to the slightest mechanical vibrations. Any sudden movement, bump or shadow near their tree was not considered an accident. It was treated as an act of war. Completely unaware of the aggressive army suspended directly above him, Kip stepped lightly into the cool shade of the acacia canopy. The sweet smell of honey was overwhelming now, mixing with the scent of green acacia pods that hung temptingly low from the bottom branches. Thirsty and curious, the young gazelle stretched his elegant neck upward. Balancing awkwardly on his hind legs, he nudged his wet snout into the foliage to grab a particularly juicy-looking green pod. In his clumsy eagerness, he made a catastrophic error. His small ribbed horns struck the thick branch supporting the wax comb. A dull thud vibrated through the wood, sending a shockwave directly into the core of the hive. The low, steady hum of the colony instantly erupted into a deafening, furious roar. Guard bees immediately released an invisible cloud of alarm pheromones, signaling the rest of the hive to attack. In the blink of an eye, the sky beneath the canopy turned black. Thousands of enraged honeybees poured out of the hive like dark smoke, descending violently upon the intruder. Less than a quarter-mile away, aggressively digging through the dry dirt for scorpion burrows, was a honey badger. With his stocky, low-slung body, jet-black underbelly, and the iconic silver-white mantle of fur running from his forehead to his tail, the badger was the undisputed brawler of the savanna. Honey badgers possess a legendary fearlessness, backed by physical traits that make them nearly indestructible. Their skin is incredibly thick, rubbery, and loose, acting as a flexible suit of armor against bites, claws, and stingers. Furthermore, they boast a naturally high tolerance to various venoms. As the badger paused his digging, his rounded ears twitched. He heard the desperate, thrashing cries of the young gazelle. More importantly, his keen nose picked up two irresistible scents riding the savanna breeze: the sharp chemical tang of bee venom and the heavy, mouth-watering aroma of exposed honeycomb. Where other animals would run for their lives at the sound of an enraged swarm, the honey badger simply turned his head, let out a low grunt, and shifted into a determined, rolling trot straight toward the acacia tree. When the honey badger arrived beneath the tree, the situation was dire. Kip had collapsed to his knees in the dust, exhausted and overwhelmed, his eyes swollen, and his body coated in a thick, buzzing blanket of attacking bees. Without breaking his stride, the honey badger charged directly into the black cloud of the swarm. The bees immediately registered the new threat and diverted hundreds of soldiers to attack the badger. Stingers rained down on him, but they harmlessly struck his thick, leathery hide, unable to penetrate the fat and muscle beneath. Ignoring the furious buzzing entirely, the badger marched right up to the trembling gazelle, reared up on his hind legs, and used his powerful front paws to brush the insects away. This was exactly what the badger wanted. Leaving the freed gazelle behind, the badger turned his attention to the tree trunk. Digging his massive claws into the bark, he hauled his heavy body up into the branches, heading straight for the dripping honeycomb. As the late afternoon sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting long, purple shadows across the savanna, the chaos at the old acacia tree finally subsided. Up in the canopy, the surviving bees slowly began to calm. Their hive was heavily damaged, but the invader had left. The swarm clustered tightly around their queen, beginning the long, meticulous process of repairing the torn wax cells and securing their remaining honey before the cool night air set in. Far out on the open grassland, Kip finally reached the safety of his herd. His mother trotted over immediately, her eyes wide with concern as she gently licked his swollen muzzle and ears.